Oh boy.
Oh God.
I don't know what my only crime was being happy. That's all I did.
I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Oh boy.
Oh God.
I don't know what my only crime was being happy. That's all I did.
I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to JIMPACT of Honor. Name still being workshopped. I don't really have much going for it yet. If you got something better, please, by all means, come up with it, tell me, send it in the comments. But tonight I am covering both Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling. It was a lot of good wrestling tonight, a lot of hard-hitting fights, and at the end of the day, just pure wrestling. There were some promos, there was some talking, there was some interactions, but more than anything, we got some excellent wrestling tonight. And it seems like Thursdays are for wrestling. I love it. I'm very excited for the future of both of these shows. Impact just continues to deliver, and Ring of Honor in week 2 continuing to put on a very healthy product. So to start the show, we had Samoa Joe defending the ROH Television Championship against former TV champion Tony Deppen. This was exactly kind of what I expected it to be, which was a one-sided match where Samoa Joe, who only has one championship left, he lost the AEW TNT championship to Wardlow, who in turn lost it to Hobbs yesterday on Dynamite. He only has this one championship left, the ROH TV championship, and he does not look like he wants to let it go quite yet. He made quick work of Deppen before starting a promo in the ring, demanding the mic, and asking somebody to step up. He doesn't really specify who. It's kind of an open challenge. But guess what? Former, I guess that's still being worked out, or current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion Mark Briscoe comes out and accepts the open challenge and steps up and challenges Samoa Joe for his title, and Samoa Joe accepts. This is a very fun and exciting matchup to have. We've all been wondering what this means, what Mark Briscoe's future will entail now that his brother, he will no longer be part of a tag team, unfortunately, due to the unfortunate passing of his brother. But I think this is a great direction for Mark. Mark is really good at getting the crowd behind him. Mark is really good at providing fun matchups, and I think a mid-card title run could be a great first step in a post-Briscoe Brothers world for Mark. Can't wait to see that matchup soon, and Samoa Joe, I'm not looking forward to the King of Television angle, I guess, completely ending, or at least Nick isn't. Sorry, Rev, but it's going to be exciting to see how things will unfold. Moving on, we have a backstage promo from Dalton Castle and the boys, where they call out the embassy for the ROH six-man championships. I love Dalton Castle. I think if anybody's had the time to watch Dalton Castle, you'll know how good he is. And it's always great to see him with gold around his waist, and with the recent rumors of Brian Cage wanting out of his AEW contract, it might not be a far-fetched sight to see Dalton and the boys once again carrying those six-man championships. Hey, you know it. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining me. We're going to get to Impact in a little bit, but in the meantime, we're going to be covering Ring of Honor. If you haven't watched it, or if you're not familiar with the product, I'm going to do my best to get you involved in it, and hopefully you like what you see. But after that fun promo. We got to see Dalton Castle and the boys in 6-man action, taking on Marcus Cross and C4. I won't lie to you guys. Typically, when I think of a Dalton Castle 6-man match, I imagine him doing most of the work and the boys just sort of taking a beating. That's not how this went, thankfully. The boys now have new gear, and they're definitely showing a little more personality, a little more individuality. I'm loving that. It's a nice evolution for the characters. It's a nice step forward for that team that always felt like it was built around Castle. And it still is. It's still Castle's team with the boys supporting him. But it's nice that the boys are something on their own too. You know, it can't just be a one-man act with 3 belts. So very excited that Dalton and the boys do pick up the W against Marcus Cross and C4. And let's see if this builds enough momentum to carry them to that 6-man tag title match, I believe, at Supercard of Honor. We then go backstage to an OGK promo where Maria Kanellis reintroduces us all to Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. I have a soft spot in my heart for the OGK, the original Kingdom. I think that they are an underrated and undervalued team. And while I'm not necessarily clamoring for them on AEW television every Wednesday and Friday, I do think them having a nice spot in Ring of Honor will give them a little bit more to work with and a little bit more of a shine. So let's see how that goes. They claim that they still have a problem with AR Fox and Top Flight. Well, specifically Top Flight. I don't know why I included AR Fox in that. I guess I just see it as one big group. But they're still mad at them for costing them in the Battle Royal, and I think they want their revenge. We then go to a tag team match where we have ROH and Dralistico taking on Angelico and Serpentico. Guys, this was the biggest surprise of the night for me because whenever I think of Serpentico, I think of, sorry to say it, a little bit of a loser, a guy who's there simply to make his competition look good and for himself to look bad. But that's not what we got in this tag match. Yes, ROH and Dralistico, they looked great. They really did. But Serpentico put out offense that I don't think I've ever seen this guy hit on AEW television. Well, I should say AEW YouTube. Because watching them, watching Serpentico here tonight, it's like this is not just some jobber. This is a guy with a lot of talent. I would love to see this more in AEW, but if not, I'm very glad he's finding more of a foothold here in Ring of Honor. And this is what we were talking about, where people who didn't quite fit in AEW now having a chance to shine in Ring of Honor. If that's, at the end of the day, the bottom line of what we get out of AEW, out of this AEW Ring of Honor world that we now live in, I'm all for it. Give me more of that. Moving on, we had a women's match between Trish Adora and Billie Starkz. Now, I'll be very honest again with you guys. I am not familiar with either of these women. I've never seen Trish Adora before. I've never seen Billie Starkz before. And guess what? That made this the most exciting match for me that Ring of Honor was able to present. I am so used to knowing everything and everyone that I'm watching. I've been a wrestling fan for a very, very long time. So to have talent that I'm unfamiliar with, delivering a very fun match, that's amazing. I'm immediately now more invested in Trish Adora and Billie Starkz. Trish Adora got the win. Oh, by the way, going back to Rush and Dralistico, yes, they did win. I know I was very much hyping Serpentico, but Rush still got to look dominant as he's been presented on AEW television and now continued here in Ring of Honor. The man is a big deal, going to be a main eventer. But going back to Trish Adora and Billie Starkz, this was a nice match. I got a feeling of both of these characters. Trish Adora picking up the win. That's a very great start for this new introduction to a different audience of Ring of Honor in this new era. Yep, because that's still a thing, the new era of Ring of Honor. So very excited to see where both women go moving forward and how the Ring of Honor women's division will be padded out over time. We then go to a backstage promo with Christopher Daniels, everybody's favorite Ring of Honor veteran. Daniels talked about how one of the biggest highlights of his career was being a Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion. And it's something that he wants to go for again. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, he can't call his buddy Frankie Kazarian and reform SCU. Love the AEW continuity there, where they're no longer allowed to be a tag team. But Christopher Daniels has been around the locker room long enough that he does have friends. Who else is going to step up but Matt Sydal? Matt Sydal is an excellent, excellent talent, and we haven't seen him flourish in AEW the way he should. He's sort of been drifting from team and group and match without any real growth. Here in Ring of Honor, I think he could shine again in a way that he wouldn't be able to in AEW. And a tag team with Christopher Daniels, where both men are beloved by the crowd, would do great for the tag division and do great for both men who need direction. We then got, speaking of tag team and the tag team division, we move on to another tag team match where we had Ari Daivari and Slim J taking on Jake Christ and Man Scout Jake Manning. Now, guys, I was so excited for this match. I am a huge Man Scout fan. If you are familiar with Northeast Wrestling, it is a regional indie in, if you would guess it, the Northeast, where you get a lot of fun talent, both local and some big names. Jake Manning is a regular there. He got signed to AEW, I believe, last year in a backstage role, and he still wrestles occasionally. It was so awesome seeing him in Ring of Honor. This was a personal mark-out moment for me. Jake Manning, Man Scout. It was great seeing him. Less great seeing him tap out, but that's okay. They were there to make the Trustbusters look good. Ari Daivari is absolutely being built up here in Ring of Honor. This is 2 wins in a row for the man. Very excited. As after the win, after making Man Scout tap out, unfortunately, they get on the mic, and Ari Daivari talks about how he beat Metalik last week. Well, that prompts Metalik to come out and confront the man who cheated to beat him. As he's getting beat down by the numbers of Slim J and Ari Daivari, he is saved by Blake Christian. Great spot, great way to get people more behind Blake Christian, who I admitted last week I'm not all that familiar with, but pairing him up with Metalik is a good way to get me invested and to show that he's willing to take the fight to the bad guys. Makes him a very sympathetic and the type of character that we're willing to root for. Good showing, good tag team match, good enhancement match, and very excited to see where this story goes moving forward. We then have Wheeler Yuta defending the Pure Championship against Jimothy Thatcher in Pure Rules. Guys, this was, if you love technical wrestling, this was the match to watch tonight. Well, one of them, if I'm going to be very honest. Impact also had a technical match of its own that was just magnifique. But this match had 3 judges. Christopher Daniels, someone who I admittedly didn't see. It was very quick. And Colt Cabana. I'm just happy Colt Cabana was on TV. That was friggin' awesome. But when you deal with Pure Rules, you have a limited amount of rope breaks. I think it's 3 each. Both men certainly utilized their rope breaks, and that was fine. And it came into play at the end of the match after a lot of back and forth, a lot of stretching, a lot of ground and pound. Wheeler Yuta catches Jimothy Thatcher in the submission, and despite Thatcher getting to the rope, he is forced to tap out when the rope break doesn't count anymore. This was an excellent match. Wheeler Yuta just continuing to look dominant and furthering his mean streak after he and the BCC are officially now heels. Wheeler Yuta is then gets on the mic, cuts a promo where he decides he's just going to continue to hype himself up, and then he gets called out. I'll be honest, guys, I wasn't familiar with who called him out. He wore a cowboy hat. That's my bad for not being too familiar with him. I'm looking up his name now, but very excited for Wheeler Yuta to continue to show off this heelish persona of his. I've heard for years that him on the indies was his heel persona did wonders for him, made him look like a real star on the indies, and we haven't seen that in AEW, so let's see if it'll work here in Ring of Honor. And I'm also seeing that the person who challenged him was Clark Connors, a name that we should be familiar with, or at the very least I should be. So sorry for letting you down on that one. But following that excellent match of the night for Ring of Honor technical bout, we had a tag team match that was set up last week between Aussie Open and Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus. This was nice. This was a pretty standard match, and I feel bad saying that because as standard as it was, it really, really highlighted Aussie Open. I've been open about the fact that Aussie Open kind of, I never really got them when they were in AEW. It took them going to Impact for me to really see their shine. Now, granted, I also know they're not an AEW team. I know that they're a New Japan team, but my main exposure to them was AEW, and I was a little underwhelmed. Then when they went to Impact, whole new perspective, and I got to see what made them such an excellent team. Tonight in Ring of Honor, I got to see it again. These two men just look like absolute stars. I think they make any division they're going to be in just that much stronger, that much more whole. And again, it's a shame AEW doesn't seem to know what to do with them. But if Ring of Honor is going to be their United States home, what a home it is, because, man, they looked great picking up the win against Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus. I do like Rhett. He's a Ring of Honor veteran for years and years and years. I hope to see him maybe bounce back. I'm not too familiar with Tracy Williams, but all four men, very excited to see where they go next week. Aussie Open in particular, as the fate of the Ring of Honor tag team titles will be decided sooner than later. We then go to, I'm hesitant to call this a match, guys. It was a beatdown. It was brutal. Eddie Kingston just obliterating Ben Dejo, I don't know. But quite frankly, I'm sorry, Ben, it doesn't matter. You were there to be destroyed by Eddie Kingston, and you did your job magnificently. Eddie Kingston looking like an absolute unit, demolishing the man with chops, demolishing the man with suplexes. Eddie Kingston is somebody I've missed seeing on TV for so long. He hasn't properly been highlighted in AEW for some time, something that's led to some drama apparently. But he got the quick dominant win over Ben, and then immediately gets on the mic, where that's truly where Eddie thrives anyway. As good as he looked in the ring, he sounds even better on the mic. He called out Claudio Castagnoli and demanded a title shot. Claudio does come out, entertains what he's hearing, and then simply walks into the back. Eddie chases after him. Claudio is Lexi Nair tries getting a word in with Claudio, who simply blows her off and walks past her. Eddie looks for him to no avail. Man, if this is the main event of Supercard of Honor, it is not a show to miss. Eddie Kingston and Claudio Castagnoli will deliver a bona fide instant classic, and they have a rivalry that goes back years and years and years. Super excited to see Eddie potentially get this world title match against Claudio, and what that could mean for Eddie moving forward. We now are dealing with a heel Claudio, so I don't know what that means for the future of his title reign, but it definitely adds a new layer to both him and the character. I didn't put that banner up, but you'll get it for a second. There it is. We are now moving forward to the Ring of Honor main event, where Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena defended her championship against Willow Nightingale. Willow is incredible. That is not news. That is not a surprise to anybody. Willow has continued week after week after week in AEW to showcasing her growth, showcasing how she has developed an amazing relationship with the audience, and she is the total package. She's got the look, she's got the gimmick, she's got the ring work, and it's just a matter of time before she carries gold in either company, AEW or Ring of Honor. Unfortunately for her, it wasn't tonight. Athena just looking like the dominant champion we all know she is and all knew she could be all these years. This new heel work from the character, from Athena. Did Willow... Hey, Nas, good to see you. Eric asking, did Willow throw Athena off a ledge with no protection? No, she did not. This was a very stiff match, but a very safe match. Sorry, Eric. Sorry to disappoint you. Both women absolutely laying into one another with the action going to the outside of the ring to just an absolute brawl between these two women. I did have issue with one spot in the match where Athena puts Willow's arm in between the steel steps and the ring post and kicks the steps into her arm into the ring post. It was brutal. Unfortunately, I don't think Willow sold it enough throughout the rest of the match. She was immediately lifting Athena on her shoulders, setting her up for power bombs, doing all these different moves, and it was just a little weak, especially in a week where we saw Jay Lethal lose a match because of how his arm was worked over and then selling it the proper way, setting up for the loss against Orange Cassidy last night on Dynamite. Willow is an excellent talent. I think this could have been handled a little bit better. I think the match could have been planned a little bit better. But, man, you cannot deny the fact that Athena is just operating on another level, and Willow Nightingale is on the rise, and her future is undeniable. Excellent showing for Ring of Honor tonight. Another week of pure, unadulterated action. Very happy to see that this show didn't go quite as long as last week's. I think it was like half the length of last week's show. I will gladly take that. And always excellent, always happy to see women's wrestling being highlighted. We had 2 women's matches, and it even main evented the show. But I do have to give the edge to Impact, which I will now start talking about, because tonight was all about the women. Well, maybe not all about the women, but highly, there was an incredible amount of time given to the women tonight in Impact Wrestling. Starting the show, we had a Bully Ray promo. Guys, I know Bully can be a little bit of a sore subject for people, a sensitive topic. It's very hard to talk about him. Some people love what he's doing in the company. Other people are a little disappointed that in the year 2023, Bully Ray is featured so prominently. I get it. I understand the criticism, but you got to admit, it's kind of undeniable. Despite his age, despite how long he's been around, Bully still delivers. He is an excellent promo. He is a hateable heel, and you just, every time he's on screen, you want to punch him in the mouth. I still remember Tommy Dreamer's promo a few weeks ago where he asks him, "Why are you such a dick?" Well, I don't know if we'll ever know the answer to that, but Bully Ray is a dick. He used this opening promo to continue to ridicule Tommy Dreamer, saying how even though he was challenged to this busted open match, he doesn't know how it's going to happen because Tommy isn't available because of his fat, damaged retina. What a stud. Thank you, Danny. I miss you, buddy. I wish you were here with me in this right now. It's saying, starting a class for selling, who should attending every wrestlers? If we're talking about who's selling and who's a good seller and who's not a good seller, I think you're going on about the Ring of Honor main event. Yeah, Willow kind of dropped the ball a little bit on the selling, but it's okay. The match itself was still very good. Nice back and forth between the two, and it did make Willow look like a boss in the long run. It took a lot of Athena's arsenal to finally put her down. And you want a strong-looking babyface, you know? You want her to believe that she could go all the way. It's just the wily veteran heel was just a little too much for her. So time will tell and see if she gets a little bit better with the selling. But if the matches are that good, I'm willing to be a little forgiving. But yes, going back to Impact, because I'm covering 2 shows tonight and will be for a very long time. God willing. Bully continues mocking Tommy, saying there's no way this match is going to happen, and I don't know why he doesn't know why Tommy thinks he can fool us all into it happening. Bully gets interrupted by Santino Marella, and Santino says Bully knows very well what the doctor said and that Tommy will be okay for this match, so Santino makes it happen. Bully takes issue with this, but even then gets interrupted again by Bhupinder Gujjar. Gujjar still has a bone to pick with Bully after last week, and he demands a match here and now. Santino makes it happen, and the young rookie takes on the wily veteran. You know it. Don't you worry about it, buddy. Even when I've got a full laptop in front of me, I'm still struggling. I get it. No pressure, no struggles, no worries. But Bully and Bhupinder go back and forth where, let's be honest, Bhupinder is still a little green. He's still a little raw, but he's developing well. It's a little slow, but he's getting there. Getting in the ring with someone like Bully Ray is going to do wonders, and Bhupinder did look good in the match. Bhupinder about to get the win when Bully Ray has to go for the low blow, gets the DQ loss before trying to really take out Bhupinder with a chain. That brings out Tommy Dreamer, the innovator of violence himself. Dreamer makes the save for Bhupinder. He's getting the upper hand on Bully Ray when out of nowhere, Masha Slamovich, first impact of the night, first knockout of the night, comes out, low blows Tommy. This gives Bully the advantage. He's about to drop Tommy with, I believe it was a pile driver, when Mickie James comes out. She comes out with a kendo stick, knocks Bully in the back, not doing much damage, but enough to distract him. Bully is about to lay out Mickie when Tommy returns the favor, saves Mickie, and the team of Mickie James, Bhupinder Gujjar, and Tommy Dreamer are enough to send Bully Ray and Masha Slamovich running. Very excited to see. I love when feuds sort of mesh into one another. We've had this Mickie and Masha feud going. It happened at the last pay-per-view. She's also been feuding with Bully Ray. Personally, I think this is leading to Nick Aldis coming. Again, that's up to you guys if you like that or not. But hey, any star talent that could come to Impact is good in my book, so I'm excited for it. And let's just see how this moves forward. I think Mickie is one of the biggest names in the company. Bully is proving himself to be a very valuable entity in the company. And I think the more star power in a segment, the more important it's going to be to follow up later on. This next segment, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it's a little weird to describe. It's a little hard to get through because it went through the entire night. We had PCO and Eddie Edwards in a cinematic experience of some sort where it starts with PCO in this segment calling out Eddie Edwards in like a gravelly desert area. He says he wants his revenge on Eddie, and he's calling Eddie out to him. We then see Eddie later on driving to meet PCO. Eventually he finds him, and PCO and Eddie Edwards get into a battle, a brawl, a clash of the Titans. I don't know what to say. Shovels were involved, rocks were involved. They were hitting wrestling moves out in the dirt and on the rocks. Weird indeed, you know it. Yes, it was. And I like it because you can do it with a character like PCO. PCO is not a traditional wrestling character, and Eddie Edwards has developed enough over the years that he's not just some technical guy. The man could do weirder, brawly stuff. So eventually PCO gets the upper hand on Eddie Edwards. throws him into a pile of rocks, and then says he's going to bury him. It looked painful. That's the long and short of it. It looked painful. It looked like it hurt. And I don't know how you bury someone with rocks efficiently. It doesn't make sense to me. But that's what PCO's plan was. As he was about to, he is run over or run into by a speeding car. Don't know who was in the car, but it stayed around long enough for Eddie to get up and allow Eddie to hop in the passenger seat and then drive away. I don't know who this could be. I don't know who would be helping Eddie Edwards. Your guess is as good as mine. Do you think it's Davey Richards? Do you think it's his wife, Alicia? Do you think it's someone else? Tell me who you think it could be who drove into PCO and saved Eddie Edwards from being buried alive with rocks. I'm not saying it would have worked, but I'm saying it would have hurt. That's moving on. We then had a backstage segment where a 6-man team was formed for Sacrifice. Josh Alexander looking for teammates to take on Time Machine, Kushida, and the Motor City Machine Guns. He approaches Rich Swann and says, despite what happened, there's nobody he would rather have in his corner on his team, having his back, than Rich Swann, and Rich gladly accepts. Okay. It's not fair that I gotta work these by myself, but this is hilarious. Billy Gunn buried by a single rock. Woo! Damn. Throwback burn. Best burn. Thank you for that, Danny. God, that got me. After Rich Swann accepts, Steve Macklin, like the weird parasitic leech that he is, comes in and starts problems, always finding Josh Alexander wherever he is backstage. It says that he wants to join the team. He wants to make sure that his match with Josh Alexander is safe, so he wants to make sure he has Alexander's back. Josh denies him, rebuffs him, says he's too late. If there's anybody who's going to have its back, it's this guy, and it's Frankie Kazarian. Very strong team here. I'm loving that Frankie is getting a lot of love and impact after not really getting the shine for the last several years in AEW. Everyone else remember the Elite Hunter? Wasn't great. But very exciting to see this matchup at Sacrifice. Frankie Kazarian getting in the ring with the Motor City Machine Guns. Awesome. Rich Swann getting into it with Kushida. Awesome. Josh Alexander on his own. Just awesome. We then go into our next singles match where we have Rhino taking on Callahan of the Design. This was a match, guys. This was a match. You know, Rhino, God bless him. I love him. We all love him. The gore is still incredible, but Rhino's not moving as well as he used to. But he and Callahan had a nice striking match. An acceptable striking match. Stiff shots being thrown by both men. As it looked like Callahan was going to get the win, he gets betrayed, maybe, by the Design as Alan Angels distracts him, setting up for Big Con to hit him with a chair. This then leads to him being set up for the gore, and Rhino does get the 1, 2, 3. I know I just said it. I know it's weird, but even in 2023, I'm going to pop when Rhino gets a win. It's Rhino. The man's lovely, and the gore is awesome. After the match, we saw in a commercial break segment, Callahan, confused by what happened, and Diener, the leader of the Design, tells him that this was step 6. Yeah, step 6. I don't know why I almost did 3, but this was step 6. And Callahan assures him, Diener assures Callahan that his entry into the Design is still progressing well. I guess this was payback for when Callahan hit Big Con with the chair at the pay-per-view. I wouldn't have cost my teammate or potential teammate a win out of pettiness, but what do I know? I'm not violent by design. We then had a backstage segment where Trey Miguel meets with Santino Marella and Dirty Dango. And Trey, who is the current X Division champion, feels a little disrespected. He feels like no one is helping him build his legacy. Santino, in my opinion, rightly says, he didn't know it was his job to help build Trey Miguel's legacy. I thought it was his job. But at Sacrifice, he has a hand-picked opponent for Trey. Trey doesn't understand how this is going to help his legacy, but sure, why not? I like Trey. I think this heel turn has done wonders for the character. He was a little generic as a babyface, and he's showing a little more personality now as a heel. I think the spray paint thing, I'm seeing it everywhere. It's happening in AEW. It's happening here in Impact. And technically, Trey did it first. To his credit, Trey Miguel did it first, but still just a little played out. But the heel personality is working. We always knew he could deliver in the ring. I'm very excited to see who his opponent would be. I kind of am ready for him to drop the X Division title, but he is having banger after banger, so maybe he's still earned himself a little time with the championship. We then have another knockouts match, or I guess the first knockouts match of the night, but another segment with knockouts, and that's Jordan Grace taking on Alex Gracia. Alex Gracia. Sorry, guys. This was a pretty simple showing. This was Jordan Grace looking dominant. Jordan Grace continuing to build on her path to her Knockouts Championship rematch with Mickie James. Jordan's a tank. She just is. She is a brutal heavyweight, and I felt a little bad for Gracia. Glad she got some TV time, but good for Jordan Grace as she just continues to show why she's in a league of her own in Impact. We then had a backstage segment with Joe Hendry. One day, I swear, he's going to show up when I clap. I know it. One day it will happen. Joe Hendry is backstage being fawned over by people, don't know who, when Moose walks in. Joe Hendry starts getting his gang of friends, followers, fans, I don't know, to start singing the Dancing Moose song when Brian Myers then attacks Hendry from behind. The two men, Moose and Brian Myers, just beating down Hendry on the floor. Brian Myers then hits him with the championship and then tells him that's his belt, and he's coming for it. Purple Shoes won this spot. You know it. Who was wearing the purple shoes? Tell me. I don't remember. Was it Moose? It feels like a Moose thing. It was either Moose or it was Hendry. If it's Myers, I'm just going to be disappointed in myself. Just let me know in the comments. But I love Hendry. I think he's one of the best things about Impact. In fact, I think he's one of the funniest things in wrestling right now. And as much as I want to just see him continuing to be funny, and get the upper hand because he's so good at it, you do need to build a little tension, and that's what happened here with Moose and Brian Myers. I am wondering how honest Moose is being about letting Brian Myers go after the Digital Media Championship. Wouldn't be shocked if this builds to a triple threat, but time will tell. Either way, I'm very much looking forward to how Hendry deals with the fallout of this next week, presumably. We had another backstage segment. You know, I said there was a lot of wrestling tonight, and there was, but we did get our fair share of backstage segments as well. Josh Alexander, Frankie Kazarian, and Rich Swann challenged Bullet Club members Ace Austin and Chris Bay, the current and new Impact Tag Team Champions, and Kenta to a six-man match next week as they want to get reps in before their six-man match against Time Machine. Bullet Club takes a little... They take a little offense to this. What, you think we're just reps for you guys? Josh Alexander says you could either wear those belts or you could wear your insecurity. We never said we wanted reps. We just want a match. I love Austin. I say it every week. I love Ace Austin. I love Chris Bay. I'm always going to pop for Kenta. And I'm very excited to see this match next week. It's kind of it's a no-win situation. You don't want your world champion losing going into a pay-per-view, but you don't want your newly crowned tag team champions and your visiting New Japan strong champion losing. I have a feeling Bullet Club's going to win next week. Maybe show a little divisiveness, maybe a little cracks in the armor for this newly formed team going into Sacrifice. We then have another singles match that, guys, I think of anything going on in wrestling this week, from Raw, from NXT, from Dynamite, Ring of Honor, SmackDown, Rampage, whatever. Impact delivered the match I was most excited to see, and that was Jonathan Gresham versus Kushida. This was a masterclass in technical wrestling. Both men rolling around the ring, stretching one another, pinning one another, trying to outdo, outsmart, outgun their opponent. It hurt my body to watch it, and I wanted more. Every time one of the competitors, whether it was Gresham or Kushida, locked in a submission, the other found a way to counter it and put them in a submission of their own, rolling up their opponent for a pin, countering it into another pin. This was excellent technical wrestling at its finest. Amazing, amazing, amazing showing. I wanted more. I hope we get a rematch in the future at some point. Jonathan Gresham, the old TNA announcer. No, that was Jonathan Grisham? No, what the hell was his name? I have no idea what his name was. I know exactly who you're talking about. The guy with the glasses who had a weird vendetta against John Cena on camera. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but you got me all messed up. Thanks, Eric. But yeah, Gresham and Kushida just delivering a masterclass, and you saw Kushida picking up the 1-2-3 pin. No, I'm so sorry. That's what you would imagine would happen, but that's not what happened. He gets Gresham in the time splitter, in that Kimura arm lock, and he gets Gresham to tap out. Gresham, in a week that I just saw Bryan Danielson tap out and Jon Moxley tapping out, seeing Jonathan Gresham tapping out was even more surprising to me. Would never have guessed it, would never have expected it, but that's the world we live in. Gresham and Kushida then shook hands after the match in an excellent, respectful showing. Made me think I was going back to watching Ring of Honor. I know better than to expect Kushida to beat Josh Alexander at Multiverse United. I won't lie to you guys. I want to believe that it's possible. Kushida deserves to be a champion everywhere he goes. And quite frankly, he kind of deserves to be a world champion, not just a mid-card or a junior champion. I know better. It's not going to happen. But if it did, you would hear me screaming all the way through your screens. We then had a somewhat long knockouts segment, and I loved it. It incorporated a lot of the women. We had Killer Kelly in the ring, sitting in a chair, being honest with the crowd, saying that she doesn't appreciate what's going on with Taylor Wilde, and that she wants to confront this head on. This brings out Taylor Wilde, who brings out some tarot cards with her. You guys got to remember, Taylor Wilde is now a witch of some sort. Taylor drew a card that showed upheaval, destruction, one other very bad and scary word, and this prompted Killer Kelly to confront her, only to get hit in the back by Killing King with a chair, I might add. Killing King is, if you might remember her from AEW, you might remember her from BTE. No, Sammy's vlog. Sorry, not BTE, as one of Cody's former students. Killing King never really found her footing in AEW, but she was finding support from the audience. It wasn't quite enough, and she found her way to Impact. She hasn't been floundering in Impact, but she hasn't really done much. But now that she is in the Impact zone, and now that she's partnered up with Taylor Wilde, it seems that this new group, this new tag team, the Coven, it might give her the direction she's been needing for a while. A new attitude, a new serious tone. I think it's going to do great for King, and I think it's going to give Taylor Wilde someone to bounce off of. After the beatdown, we see Killer Kelly backstage sitting down, getting over her I don't want to say injury, but, you know, I guess at the very least a bruised ego, where she then is greeted by the Death Dolls, who sort of just appear magically. I loved it. It was weird. Didn't get it. The Death Dolls offer their support and help to Killer Kelly. Says if she needs any support against the Coven, the Death Dolls are there. Killer Kelly kind of rebuffs them a little bit, saying she doesn't know what she wants, but she doesn't think she needs help in a 2-on-1 situation. The Coven then walk into the scene and take issue with the fact that the Death Dolls are getting themselves involved in their problem. Rosemary then says she knows what the Coven wants, and that's a shot at the tag titles. She says she's willing to give it to them, but if and when they beat the Coven have to renounce their black magic witchcraft. That was a weird sentence to say in 2023, guys, but here we are. This is what Impact is, for better or for worse, and I'm going to say better. Challenge made, challenge accepted, match set up, I believe, for next week. We haven't even gotten to the main event yet, and we've had Killer Kelly, Killing King, Taylor Wilde, the Death Dolls, Jordan Grace, Alex Gracia, I keep doing it, Gracia, Mickie James, and Masha Slamovich, all highlighted in different feuds. 10 women across 3 feuds so far, maybe 4 feuds, depending on how you look at it. And now, the Impact main event, where you have Mickie James defending the Knockouts Championship, the Knockouts World Championship against Giselle Shaw, who is accompanied by Jai Vidal and Savannah Evans, another woman. So that's 2 more women. That's 12 women in one night across 4 or 5 different feuds. This was 13 women, because Deonna Purrazzo was on commentary. Impact is the place to go for women's wrestling. If you want to be highlighted, if you want to be showcased, if you want to be treated like an equal to the men, get your time, get your chance to show off. Impact Wrestling is the place to go if you love women's wrestling. I do. Danny does. I'm sure he'd say it if he was here. This was a fun main event. Giselle Shaw and Mickie James going back and forth for a while. It finally looked like Giselle Shaw was going to get some gold here in Impact, getting the assist from Vidal and from Savannah Evans, only to be thwarted by Deonna Purrazzo as she had rolled up Mickie when the ref was distracted by her own entourage. Deonna helps Mickie reverse the pin, and Mickie is able to turn it into the 1, 2, 3. Guys, it's hard sometimes to be a women's wrestling fan. You know, if you're in WWE, things have gotten better over the years, but you know only certain women are going to be highlighted. Or at the very least, only certain women are considered genuine contenders to win matches and to win championships. If you're in AEW, you're lucky if you get one women's segment of substance a week. Or at the very least, a show. Ring of Honor, it's too early to tell. They've never really been known for their women's wrestling. But we got 2 matches tonight. Impact delivered on another level. This was a fun match. This was a fun main event. It made sense given how the stories have been progressing over the last few weeks, even months. And I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm excited to see how Mickie's run is going to go. I'm not even going to verbally address this, but it needed to be shown to the world. There you go, Eric. I hope that this direction maintains. I never really have to worry about it with Impact. It's always something to rely on. But yeah, it's shocking to see how one company can get it so right, in this case Impact, and so how many other companies can get it so wrong. I hope to see a little bit of progress made on the Mickie James, Jordan Grace front. Even though both women were highlighted tonight, it would be nice to see them interact again and not be interrupted. I want to see if this Mickie James Bully Ray feud is going to lead to more with Nick Aldis, or maybe even an intergender match. Impact does not shy away from that. But regardless of what happens next, we can't say one thing. It will be entertaining. But guys, that was it tonight. That was Impact Wrestling. That was Ring of Honor Wrestling. Well, it's not really called Ring of Honor Wrestling, but that was Ring of Honor. And yeah, great showing, great wrestling, lots of women, lots of fun. Lots of fun. Tell me what you guys thought of the shows. If you only watched Impact, talk about Impact. Maybe try to go watch Ring of Honor if you can. Honor Club is, I know it's a monthly payment, but it's worth it when you're getting this level of good wrestling. And if you're only watching Ring of Honor, go watch Impact. It's only $1 a month. Or if you have Access TV, it's free on Access. So, guys, I'm James Giselle. This is JIMPACT of Honor for Mark It Down Podcast. The name is still being workshopped, but thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching wrestling. And please remember, watch Impact and watch Ring of Honor. Good night, guys.